This is the story about my uncle, Alex Tizon. He was warm, he was kind, and he could put a smile on just about anyone's face. He was an absolutely incredible journalist. He was a reporter for the Seattle Times, and in 1997, he received the Pulitzer Prize for Investigative Journalism. He later became a journalism professor at the University of Oregon. In 2014, he released his memoir, Big Little Man, In Search of My Asian Self. But this isn't just a story of his exemplary career. This is the story of how his final story came to be. On March 23, 2017, at the age of 57, Alex suddenly and tragically passed away. 3 months later, the piece he had worked on for 6 years would be on the front cover of The Atlantic. Published in June 2017, his essay, My Family's Slave, sparked debate across the globe. The subtitle of the piece reads as follows: She lived with us for 56 years. She raised me and my siblings without pay. I was 11, a typical American kid before I realized who she was. For his entire life, Alex had a secret. His family owned a slave. Alex provides a first-hand account of modern slavery as he tells the story of Eudocia Tomas Pulido, whom the Tizons called Lola, and her life as a slave in his family. When she was just 18 years old, Lola was gifted to his mother by his grandfather. 10 years later, when their family emigrated to the United States, Lola was brought along. Alex's article depicts horrifying mistreatment towards Lola and the secret that brought perpetual shame to his inner circle. For 35 years, she worked relentlessly without receiving a penny. Alex and his siblings loved Lola unconditionally, but seeing the way his parents treated her filled Alex with shame of his complicity. In 1999, after Alex's mother passed away, he was able to provide Lola the freedom that he desperately sought for her in his lifetime. Lola was 75 when she moved in with Alex, his wife Melissa, and their daughters. Their only request was that she do nothing all day. He paid her a weekly salary, gave her a room to sleep in, and treated her with love and compassion. But even so, Lola continued making their beds, doing their laundry, and cooking their meals. Alex brought Lola back to the Philippines on several occasions, but on their visits, she would ask that they return home to Seattle. In 2011, Lola passed away. Alex went back to Lola's hometown to spread her ashes, where he reflected on her life and his part in it. After the story was published, it received thousands of positive reviews. Alex's words moved so many people. Not only was it the most read article in The Atlantic that year, but it was the most read article in the world. 6 months after its publication, it had accumulated 58 million minutes, or 110 years, of collective reading time. But it also created a huge backlash due to its incredibly controversial nature. People were angry at the treatment Lola received, as they should be. It sparked a worldwide discussion of human trafficking and its unspoken existence. After Alex passed away in March of 2017, his wife, my Aunt Melissa, has kept his stories alive to this very day. She published an anthology of his unreleased work in 2019 titled Invisible People: Stories of Lives at the Margin. This is the story of Melissa's story, of Alex's story, of Lola's story. The reason I wanted to tell it is that it's illustrative of the power and persistence of words. Alex was a phenomenal writer, and I know his words will never be forgotten. To conclude, I wanted to share Melissa's description of Alex's impact as a storyteller in a recent interview.
He found that when he was through reporting and by telling people other people's stories of people who are immigrants or who are living on the margins, that he was able to understand himself a little bit better. And Alex always believed, as you said earlier, that everyone has an epic story. And it's just incredible that he was able to take people who you might just pass on the street and never even think twice about them and find their epic story and tell it in a way that really drew people in and helped us all understand each other.
And we need to
better.
remember that, because
Yes,
everyone we pass every
exactly.
day, you don't know what they've been through.